Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And welcome back, viewers and listeners.
Friday
night podcast night. You are listening. You've tuned in, and you're going to sit back and relax and hear the dulcet tones of the Two Dads podcast.
And for nothing, from nothing, leaves nothing.
That's right.
It is something.
Exactly right. And here we are. Welcome back, everybody. And Sid, how you doing this fine Friday evening?
All right, Phil.
Yeah, we're doing well.
Phil is the Uber man. I am the other man,
and then together
we have completely filled full of jam.
Oh yeah, donuts are full of jam. It's Friday night podcast.
Donuts are full of jam.
Welcome to the Two Dads.
Seething with rage is what we are. We're really trying to
keep the lid on.
Hold on to that lid. We got both hands down.
We are
holding the lid of anger.
And we haven't spoken this week, but I get a funny feeling. I got an idea of what might be coming up on this episode 7's topic. We are the Two Dads podcast. That's TOO Dads, not number 2, not numeric 2. It is a pun.
As in, so much like dads.
So much like dads. Too much like dads. And we like to write a little love letter to common sense. And tonight, I'm really looking forward to writing that letter. Before we jump into it, though, before we really reveal the topic.
Seriously, this week in Melbourne, if for common sense was fuel in your car, you'd be stuck on the side of the eastern.
Oh, you'd be done,
empty.
Mate. Empty. You'd be walking along the Monash.
Empty.
Absolutely. It's common sense is, it's about as rare as 4-leaf clovers, I reckon, at the moment, with some, unfortunately.
So we like to start.
Oh, the pun.
We like to start all the podcasts with a pun.
You do.
Okay. So
yep, you do. Okay. You get them.
I found one that I'd realize it's actually some history for me.
Oh, okay.
It was many years ago. My mum had received free for vouchers of this place. It's not so much a pun, but it's just it's odd.
Okay. That's quirky.
I'll start with the other one first. We're going to Sydney for this one. Our neighbours. Our neighbours for the north.
Yeah.
For Maryland's west. In Maryland's west.
The Marylands.
Sydney. Yeah. Yep. If you're up for some Lebanese.
Good food. Very nice food.
You can go to the Middle Feast. The Middle Feast.
The Middle Feast. Yes, you can
enjoy your Lebanese in the Middle Feast.
Now that is worth every pun second of you saying that. The Middle Feast.
It's cheers to the Middle Feast.
Oh, absolutely! I'm going to cheers to that. And Lebanese food is awesome. It's great.
Lebanese food in the Middle Feast.
Nothing like a bit of Middle East. Middle Feast.
Feast. So for this next one, it's like I said, it's only when I saw it, I realized that this was something from my childhood in Australia. This was something in my childhood. My mum did receive some free vouchers for this, and we just laughed at the time many years ago because of the name. Okay, so Phil, if you were hankering for some Indian vegetarian food,
which is very common,
where would you go in Melbourne?
Oh, there's so many restaurants that are.
No. Where, like suburb?
Which
location?
Suburb?
Yeah, which would be the perfect location?
I don't know why, but
Indian vegetarian.
For vegetarian, I mean, I don't want to be, I would say St Kilda. I don't know why. I just think St Kilda. That's what I think.
You'd be wrong, because the best place for Indian vegetarian is Chinatown.
Is that right? Of course it is.
A lovely place called.
Oh God. Hold it. Keep it together. Keep it together.
I knew I was going to have trouble saying it.
Must be good. Keep it together.
Indian vegetarian restaurant in Chinatown called for Gaylords.
My good Lord.
Gaylords.
It's just, do we even, I feel like we shouldn't even go there.
Not Commercial Road. I would have thought that would be in the perfect place for Gaylords.
Gaylords? Really?
Gaylords.
And the Victorian Business Chamber of Commerce just go, yep, that's a good name, we'll give it a tick.
Indian vegetarian in Chinatown by the name of Gaylords.
If that isn't multicultural and covering all aspects of society, I don't know what is.
I don't know what it is.
Melbourne, you've done it again and gone and proven just how multicultural and how diverse and inclusive you are.
That's it. We just don't stop.
Nah. Good old Gaylords.
So we also like to include in our podcast, since we are two dads.
Yes.
And what's mostly like dads than a dad joke.
Dad joke. You came up with the ripper last week. It was a good one. Still laughing about the Zippo and the hippo. That was great.
One's large and heavy, and one's a little
lighter. Boom, boom. All right, what do you got for us this week?
What do you call a fake noodle? What do you call a fake noodle?
A fake noodle?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you call a fake noodle?
An impasta.
See? Only dads would laugh at that joke too. Other people go, no. But that's funny, an imposter. I like it. It's a good one. Yeah, I'm trying to work these out, by the way. I'm not playing along, you people. I'm actually trying to work out what the answer is as a dad. But as you can see, you got to be a little bit more clever than what you think to work these out in impasta.
So, two peanuts are walking down the street.
Yeah.
One was assaulted. That's it.
That's it. I knew that was it. That's why I laughed. Oh, it's gold. Oh, what a jovial start to the podcast.
Well, there you go. Hopefully that's,
that just gets us all.
Made the anger a little bit.
It's just settled us. A bit of laughter.
In the shoulders.
Just relaxed. The lungs, got them going. Because now we've come to the business end.
This is the business end. This is where announce. So for episode 7.
Episode 7. What have we got? What have you chosen as our topic?
Free speech is me too. Exclamation. Question mark.
Free speech is me too. Yes. Good topic. I like this topic.
This is especially the last week that we've had in Melbourne with the protests.
Yes.
I actually drove past your area on the freeway, and that's when I tried to ring you the first time. But there was two people on the overpass standing with, each one had a flag of the Southern Cross.
Yeah.
Just standing over the overpass, waving. Like,
something to do.
So, well, of course, because they're not working. Because they are the unvaccinated.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. So these people are the non-working people that want to fight for their freedoms. They're not really interested in all the freedoms of the rest of us. That would rather not have to lose our lives unnecessarily, or those of our loved ones.
It is a again, and I do say this a lot. It is a contentious topic, but I think it's one that it's good to talk about.
Yep. And
knowing Sadiq as I've known him for a very long time, like I'm talking decades here.
1987.
I know, man. It's 30 plus years. 34. A long time. Long time.
And we're still as handsome as what we started,
Wow,
although
yeah.
Phil has a lot less hair.
Yeah, a lot less. Sort of migrated down around to my cheeks and chin. But on this topic, free speech is important. And let's make this very clear on the
Yep.
Two Dads podcast that we are absolutely all for free speech. It is vital to a functioning democratic society. The right to protest, absolutely. And in my view, it's not something I would do. I felt like I needed. I don't feel with the processes that happened on the weekend. I don't agree with it, but I do agree with there being protests in the sense of people felt the need to. In all, it was relatively peaceful. And again, there's just that small group. There's always that bad apple that tries to ruin the barrel, right? But protesting,
unfortunately, it all should be, if you actually stay to what you are actually trying to protest for.
Yes. You stay true to that.
It should be non-violent.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%
non-violent.
Yeah.
And making hangman's noose.
Yeah. And gallows.
And gallows is just,
that's
for those that are not in Australia that happen to be listening
from around the world and haven't seen on the news,
or they happen to be seeing this on YouTube. We've recently had a week where in our city of Melbourne in Australia, a loud minority is protesting for the rights of the government to actually have extended emergency powers.
It's really writing specific, pandemic specific legislation. That's
pandemic
what they're looking
specific.
at. Yeah, because the current legislation around it, state of emergency, they weren't written for the purpose of managing a pandemic.
It's a once in 100-year event.
Yeah, well, exactly. It just clearly
it's unprecedented.
Unprecedented. So what they're looking to write and introduce is to have power. Well, have legislation. We keep using the word powers, but write legislation which is purpose built to facilitate current pandemic that we're going through, over a massive wave, and hopefully we're on the other side of it, and we can manage it going into next year. But then in the future, for future governments, not just for the current government. So it's very contentious, and the protests. A lot of people went out there last weekend on Saturday, and I'd like to say 95% of them peacefully. There's all that small 5%.
Unshaven?
Yeah, well, that's their choice.
Unwashed?
That's their
choice. It is a pandemic of the unwashed.
Yeah, that's their choice. But
because we can't say the other word.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Unwashed. We'll go with unwashed.
Yeah, clearly, they're clearly, there's mandates, which they're opposing, and then obviously the current state of how this bill was introduced into Parliament for the Legislative Council to debate. And
now we have all the processes in place by which our system for government, the Westminster system,
which is a two-party system,
where it goes through the Parliament, each sides of Parliament, all the representatives of the people have to vote. It all exists.
Yep.
So for the unwashed,
yes,
who they believe that somehow all the powers are purely to limit their freedoms.
Yeah. We shake our heads because we don't get it.
Yeah.
Personally, we don't get it. It just.
I feel like one of those things that people have on the
dashboard, and it just bobbles their head.
On the dashboard of their car as it's moving. Just
look, it's clearly that's people, and we don't know. We don't want to make any assumptions, but clearly they have something which they feel they need to protest, which is fine. But there's freedom of speech, but then there's the extreme. And what we've seen in Melbourne is that extreme, which is no longer protesting. We're talking, threatening people's lives.
Yeah. I've watched people that work in a shop or work in a restaurant being verbally assaulted only for doing their job and only for enforcing what is the mandate for the common good.
Good of society is not for someone's, joy. It's for common
I think
good.
what is forgotten in this whole situation is that we are part of a community. We have a responsibility to each other's safety, not just our own. I think
absolutely.
Hence the free speech is me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Is asking what's the question here? Like, is because free speech has a price.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Free speech has
consequence.
We always like to offer our opinions from an ethical standpoint. So
absolutely,
free speech, we 100% agree with it. But
110%.
Everyone's right to free speech comes with responsibility. I think the problem here is that it's just thought of, you can say whatever you like.
And no one can not held account to it.
Yeah.
Tough luck. I'm allowed. I've got every right to say what I want without taking into consideration the consequences of those words.
Yeah.
And that's not free speech.
My body, my choice, that kind of thing, it's...
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, you live part of society as well. And what we're facing at the moment is a problem which the whole of society is trying to deal with. And, you start treading on really delicate ground of, no one's got the right to tell me what to do. I get that. No one's got the right to tell me what to do either. But then I look at it from the perspective of, well, hang on a second, I've also got a responsibility because I live as part of society and with people who I care about, and I want to make sure that I can protect them and do the right thing. But not only that, but there's rules, law and order is there for a reason to maintain an orderly society as well. Yeah. Not just to do whatever you think you want and however you want based on the trust that you'll do the right thing. Unfortunately, there's some people that it doesn't work that way.
And, I am a man of faith. I'm very strong in my faith, and I believe in God. And
likewise.
But you're the same as well.
Yep.
But it's not my place to impose that on someone else.
Absolutely not. No.
My beliefs are my own.
Yep.
If there's someone else who doesn't share the same, I am to respect them.
Exactly. Not condemn them.
And not hurl abuse at them in the street only because they don't think the same way that I do.
Yeah. And it's just, and that's a really good point that you raised, because you have the unsullied, right? Unwashed, who are making all the noise. Yep. And then we have the 90% who quite rightfully, you would think, could turn around, march down the streets of Melbourne and act all whingy and whiny.
Yeah.
In the sense of, why aren't you doing the right thing? Why do you think? But we don't. We don't do that. And the reason why we don't do that is because we respect that they've got a view, and that's fine. But they've gone to the point now where they've stepped over the line with how they're projecting that view.
If you're abiding by the law, but not only the law, this is another thing too. I've been told that the law is unlawful.
The law is unlawful. Oh, let me get comfortable and tell me how this works. Because I'm sure that
please explain to me the logic of how the law is unlawful.
Yeah, it's been written purposefully to be unlawful.
Yeah, and not just by one person.
Oh, really? There's multiple people.
No, I'm saying the laws, our laws in our society in Australia have not just been handwritten by one person.
Oh, no. No, it's not.
It goes through a very...
That's called a
long and protracted process in order to be a law.
So, absolutely. And it gets rubber stamped by the courts, if I'm not mistaken. That's what legislature.
Legal studies in high school, you would know this.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm not judging.
Unbelievable. Really, someone's actually said to you,
and that's not a pun. I'm not judging.
But you work.
Yes, someone's actually said that to me.
It's unlawful.
Yeah.
So it mandates.
Henceforth, I just had a look and haven't spoken to that someone since October 17.
Wow, there you go.
So
it's been a while.
Please continue, sir.
No, yeah, I will. Thank you. I was trying to remember what I was going to say now.
About the law being unlawful.
Oh, law being unlawful. Yeah. So someone's actually said that. But the mandates. So, with the mandates, are we saying that introducing a mandate is an unlawful act? That seems to be the position that they're taking.
Yeah, it seems to be the position because just introducing something that you don't like means that it's unlawful.
That's right. It doesn't work that way because in order to introduce those mandates,
that's right.
It would have to get some level of legislative approval because the reason for the mandate is for what? Is it for the benefit of one individual or for the greater good of people in society?
Yeah, it's not
typically it's the latter, right? Yeah, and that's the problem.
Democracy.
And that is exactly the problem that you just
raised. From the Greeks.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. What we are seeing is protests for autocracy.
That's right.
By a minority. Right. To be free to do whatever I want, however I want. No one tell me what to do. No one has the right to tell me I've got to do this, I've got to do that.
Yep.
And if they feel that way, there is plenty of space northwest of Victoria where there's no one and you can go there and do it. Because if you're part of society, and I'm just being flat out honest here, this is how I feel, and I'm going to be honest.
Or you just keep going south.
Mate, if you can swim, keep going. You go out there and you start your own commune, and you come up with your own anarchist or autocratic society that you want. But when you're part of society, you have an obligation to them. Yep. And a lot of things that I hear, and I tell you what, my blood starts to boil when they start bringing up the diggers. We've went over there and, first of all,
use that as a comparison to Anzacs.
First of all, that just shits me to tears, Sadiq, if I can say it, because it's just no comparison and it's disrespectful to so many brave men and women who sacrifice life for us. And to say that what's happening now in Australia, in Victoria in particular, we're losing freedoms that they fought for. We're not losing freedoms. We put them on pause to help society. Those diggers, those men and women made the ultimate sacrifice. And why? Because they gave a crap about society.
They went and fought for their country, for their family.
Exactly.
Their actual freedom.
Yeah. For a real threat. So don't go comparing them, right? It's just real crazy.
World War.
It's real. It really makes my blood boil when I hear those sort of comparisons.
And you have made the mention of this in one of our earlier.
I did.
Earlier for podcasts, how you've seen that they've made the comparison in between the unwashed and the Holocaust.
That's just
unfathomable how insulting that actually is.
It really is. It's to the point where you just lost for words and how to describe how disgusted you really are when you.
I respect I respect anyone's right to actually have an opinion.
Yeah, but be careful what you say.
But the opinion comes with a responsibility.
Absolutely, and that's what's failing. That's what people are missing. Taking responsibility.
I think being offensive and saying that it's your right to free speech opens the door to many things that are unworthy of being aired in society.
Yeah.
Because it's the thin edge of the wedge.
Mate, it's teetering. It really is teetering. And it's to the point of, it gets
law and order is what separates us from
the animals, mate.
Yeah.
Even animals have law and order.
Yeah.
They have a hierarchy. There's a way that things
There's
work.
a hierarchy. Yeah.
Right?
The survival of the fittest.
Exactly. And look, in a democratic society, we too have, we won't call it a hierarchy, but we have a structure, we have a system that's in place. Now, the free speech, stand on the steps of Parliament House, say, if you, that's fine. There's no problem with doing that. No one's saying that you can't do it. But you do it peacefully. You do it as long as you feel you want to, need to, have to. But let's stay away from the defamatory remarks. Let's stay away from threatening, parliamentarians with their life.
Nooses.
Yeah.
This is insulting their family.
You know what I'm saying?
Sending for death threats. This is.
I mean, that's
people,
not.
come on.
That is not protesting. That is not. That's borderline terrorism. Is what that is.
But they hide under the banner of free speech.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I have rights. Everyone has rights. That's how society works.
Absolutely.
But we're not entitled to abuse the privileges that we have that other areas around the world do not have.
Yeah, that's
these
right.
kind of freedoms. I mean, feel free to hop on a plane and go to Afghanistan and see how far your protesting is going to actually get you.
Tell you what, you won't make it past the airport. I'll tell you right now. That's a fact. And that's true. That's true.
Really, Uncle Dan has all the rights to be angry. And
yeah.
ScoMo again has proved that he's no real prime minister or real sort of a leader of any kind at all.
Nah.
Because he just goes on with this. Like I think he actually said that I think people have had enough of the governments telling them what they have to do. This from our prime minister.
Exactly.
Our prime minister, meaning number one,
the top dog.
The top dog.
The top dog.
Our prime minister, for everyone that's international, said that. Obviously, I'm also paraphrasing, but
but you're pretty close.
He said
yep.
that he believes that the average person has had enough of the governments telling them what to do.
Because the government's doing it for shits and giggles at the moment, right? Yeah. Seriously,
it's like they're just doing it for fun because they like, stopping people from moving around.
Yeah, stop people from working.
Because
it's crazy. Well, you know what? ScoMo's got an empathy coach. Maybe he needs a chiropractor to help find his spine.
His spine.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what.
At least stand for something. When he goes on another.
His ass must be so sore.
For the electric cars, and he completely flip-flopped on it.
Mate,
really, you give people a rebate for buying electric cars initially.
Yep.
And then they have to pay more of a tax because they realize, fuel excise only comes from vehicles that use fuel. So electric cars don't use fuel. So we've got to find a way to make them pay as well.
Yep. You're hearing it here, folks. We have the Muppet Show running this country. But seriously, how sore must his ass be sitting on that fence? Come on.
The fence is hopefully made for barbed
wire. In the middle is so long.
Come on. Well, I'm sure it's not an electric fence.
Oh, no. And then you've got our Premier, who, you know what, if people will disagree, and surely there's a minority that do, but when you see leadership, you got to respect it. Has he done everything right? No. He's human, and it's once in 100-year pandemic,
How's anyone going to do every single thing? This is the other thing too. I've got to say this. It's very easy to have an opinion of what someone is doing wrong.
Oh, criticism, mate. Easiest form of opinion.
But if you were in the position, do you think you would do everything right? I highly doubt it.
Or anything different? Because I can tell you now.
Or anything different.
If it had been the other way, where Dan had said, you know what, forget lockdowns, we'll just push through
just
it.
Do whatever you like. Do whatever you like.
Nuts. And then we've got all these deaths. you'll have the same people
Yeah.
protesting that he did nothing.
Here's, where this rainbow tears and some dried fish around your neck, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, put this unicorn
Don't worry
horn
about
in
it.
your pocket.
Just
Should
just
be
put
right.
this unicorn horn in your pocket. Some hen's teeth,
And I think that's,
and off you go.
but I guess in society, you're always going to have that small fraction who are always going to be, against the grain, who are always going to protest, who are anti-government. That's how I see all of this. I see it as anti-government, right? And
I'm tired of all these people they don't want to be told. You don't be told anything. But
yeah,
when you're driving and someone cuts you off in their Camry, you screaming at them, "Hey, there's rules.
There's laws.
There's laws. Where are the police when you need them?"
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I know what allows the police to actually exist? Those laws that are unlawful.
That's right.
And the government that you hate so much. Every time when you are sick and you need the ventilator,
yeah,
where are you going to go?
Well, mate.
To the snake charmer?
No, you're not going there.
I think so.
You're not going there. They don't have it at the drive-thru at Macca's either. Going to
the what's that shop? Horseland?
No, Horseland.
Horseland is the horse of the top.
Don't go into that.
No, you're not going to go there. You're going to go to the hospital, which is, in most cases, half to 100% funded by the government.
Exactly.
Of whom you hate so much.
And I think this is where, I know for me, this is where it's starting to get laborious in the sense of I'm just getting over it, because they're protesting, anti-government. It's the Me Too. I agree with you. It's the Me Too attitude.
Yeah. Hashtag.
Right? It's the Me Too attitude.
Yeah.
Because if you were true to protest, you would say, at least give an opinion that isn't just criticism. Mm-hmm. And it's gone beyond criticism now.
It's gone beyond criticism. It's just
extremist. It's extremist.
Obtuse.
Yeah.
It's just been obtuse and just been finding fault in anything that's said.
Anything and everything. And it's just anger. Now, where this stems from, I always think maybe they have been hit really hard as a result of the lockdowns, and maybe they've been let down by the support system, potentially.
It's the algorithms, Phil. It's the algorithms.
Look, it could be a combination of the two, because I unfortunately know someone who has that mindset. I don't believe they were as hard done by during the lockdowns financially. Yes, it might have been difficult, but they're still okay. And I'm talking about business-wise and, financially, I believe they're okay.
Yeah.
But to, with the algorithms, if you keep feeding yourself that information, it does, and we touched on this in the last episode, right?
So maybe we should just explain a little bit for the uninitiated.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about algorithms, anything on the internet, we can say anything.
Yeah, social media particularly.
Especially the big three, your Facebook, YouTube, which we're on, and Instagram, any of your other platforms, or really anything you do on the internet, you are being digitally profiled.
Yep.
Now, the original intention of what is algorithms, which are all the programming that exists in the background when you do anything on the internet. Okay, that's to make it as simple as we can.
Yeah.
So all these, we can't call them institutions, but all these platforms make use of algorithms for targeting advertising.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's, if you go on for Google and you search for posters for cats.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an obscure thing.
Mm-hmm.
The more you search for posters for cats, the more suggestions you'll get for posters for cats.
Yep.
Anything about cats.
Yep.
And then the more you keep going, the more you look at, the more you'll get.
Yep. And
that's what happens.
It's pretty instant too. Yeah.
And that's what happens with any interest that you do for multiple times on a regular basis.
On a regular basis, yeah, absolutely.
Even, for example, I thought as well, even when you use maps in your car, if you put in an address and then a week later you happen to be going near that area, that previous address that you put shows up as a suggestion.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't to me every morning when I go to CrossFit.
Yep.
Because I'm in the car at the same time and I connect my phone to the car, it actually comes to my maps and it says 7 minutes to Enterprise Drive.
Yep. And you've never done anything.
I haven't touched my phone.
That's right.
Never done it.
That's exactly right.
It just tells me. It automatically tells me how long it's going to take me to get to CrossFit. And it's just, again, through algorithms.
That explains what is the situation that has led to, again, I'll say the title of this podcast is Free Speech is Me Too. Because it's the phenomenon that has happened with how the modern world now exists.
Yep, around technology and social media.
And for those that don't actually understand how it's working in the background, they believe that whatever extremism they're into, they keep seeing the same thing over and over again, which makes them think that they're right, that what they believe is real.
And just listening to you explain that, it shouldn't be the government making you do things that should be scaring you. It should be these algorithms that should be scaring you. Because someone somewhere is controlling what you see or suggesting to you what you should be seeing and looking at. That's scary. Depends on the material
regularly being thrown in your face.
But it's anyway, if you
anytime.
If you go to one of the news websites, the advertising on there is targeted based on what your searches have been. All right?
It's like if you happen to go to a shop anywhere.
Yep.
Anywhere. You haven't done anything with your phone. Your phone's been in your pocket the whole time. Maybe once you get home, then you'll see a message saying, did you enjoy that shop that you go to? I mean, it'll have the name of the shop.
Yeah.
Or if you went past a park on the way, it'll come up with something saying, did you enjoy that park? Have you, if you've never asked yourself, well, how does that happen? This is how it all happens in the background. And unfortunately, we can't say silent, the extremely loud amount of people who are not in the majority, I think it's pretty safe to say they're not in the majority. They haven't realized that this is all happening. They think that because they see more and more of it and they're interacting with other people that also feel the same, they believe that they are right.
It just feeds it.
Yeah.
It does. And
it's feeding an addiction to idiocy.
Well, I think for a small minority, and that's who we're really speaking to in this particular podcast. We're not talking about those who clearly, they might be opposed to mandates, they might be protesting, but they are doing it peacefully. I guess they're doing it in their own way, but we're really talking about those extremists who are the Me Too group of, the topic when it comes to free speech is Me Too.
Yeah.
But as far as a message, because our podcast is about writing a love letter and a bit of common sense. I mean, what information, what could you impart on these individuals to try and perhaps get them to, now, at least consider a different perspective?
Well, I'm going to say one statement, which is I'm I'm quoting Sacha Baron Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may know of him.
Yes.
You may think he's purely purely sort of a on the fringe type of. He has that type of humor.
Mm-hmm.
He
He's a
too.
funny guy. He's very controversial.
He's funny, but he's also it's very
characters.
controversial, very offensive at times. But
Yeah.
you know, he's actually also a very
Switched
a
on.
really eloquent man.
Super intelligent.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't recognize him, I don't think, if his name didn't come up. They might.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like Borat in his normal form.
Yeah.
But you're right. I'm interested in hearing this.
So the quote is about for democracy, which is solely dependent on shared truths,
mm-hmm.
is in retreat, and autocracy, which solely depends on shared lies, is on the rise.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it is.
This is exactly what's happening.
Well, this is what we're experiencing here in Melbourne.
Yeah. And it's also happening all over the world.
I think it is, yeah.
Everything that's happened over the past for a couple of years has unearthed or really forced this out, because so many people now have had a lot of time to think and to be introverted about their sort of ideals and anything that they think, and especially if they were on the fence about a lot of things anyway, it's unearthed a lot of ignorance, really. And and it's like we're saying that we 100% agree on everyone's right to free speech, but free speech comes with a responsibility.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah. Yep.
My wife Shakira, she made a very good statement the other day, which I said, no, you're exactly right, because I said to her that, you know, it's all these large organizations like your Facebook, like Instagram, that are perpetuating
they're providing
the whole
vehicle
issue with the algorithms.
Yeah, they're providing a vehicle.
And it's unfair because the general ordinary person is unaware that what they've been fed is not being sort of edited.
Well, it's not
by a large organization like how it used to be in the past. You know, it was just the large organizations for newspapers,
it's going to be
for TV.
It's going to be fact checked. Well, it's fact checked because those organizations are held to some degree of, you know, legal obligation to work within a particular
standards.
Exactly.
For journalism, they have ethical standards.
Absolutely.
For medicine, they have ethical standards.
They all do.
But
all
the platforms, there is not much ethical standards.
Zuckerberg's thing is, I provide a platform for free speech. That's great. But you've got a responsibility of how that is then perpetuated.
Yeah.
People just can't say shit whatever they want and then go, well, I can say because it's my
and insult whoever they want and just go, well,
I've got
it's my opinion, so
tough
as
luck.
I said, you need to have, as we said, you need to also have, you need to be held accountable.
Yeah, and that's where it's
all those opinions that,
and that's what's not happening. People, and clearly, if they're not showing the responsibility to try and do the right thing by society, it's no wonder they feel they don't have any responsibility to, when they are providing or when they give their opinion, to have responsibility for the words that they're using in their so-called free speech. You and I are doing it right now.
Well,
really, you and I are doing
it's
it
exactly
right now.
The same platform, the same reason why anyone's allowed to have an opinion and anyone's allowed to broadcast their opinion is the reason why if Two Dads exists.
Yep.
But we acknowledge that our opinions come with responsibility.
Absolutely.
We are not just
outright defaming and
exposing
slandering.
saying whatever we like and think that there's no comeback on it. So my wife had a very good argument, which I thought, you're exactly right. Because on one hand, we are trying to say that the platforms need to be held accountable. The platforms need to actually say, hey, you can't say this. This is incorrect. You need to take it off. Right? So this is what we're trying to say. But she also said that, there's a lot of people who have never had a voice and who lived in the parts of the world where you're not allowed to have a voice because either organizations from the government or whatever the factions are in their country at the time, there's wars going on, there's, violence, everything is happening there, and the ordinary person hasn't got a voice.
No. Yeah.
So these platforms have allowed freedoms which in some places around the world have never existed. So she made a fantastic argument, which I 100% agree as well.
So do I, and I can confidently say that those people who it provides them a voice will do so taking accountability for what they say and how they say it, because they respect that they then finally have a platform by which they can project their opinion and their position on something. That, from that perspective, that's why social media is important. Absolutely. We're not saying that social media should go away. That is an important platform and it's going to stay with us. But there needs to be some tightening up. The way I look at it. Some things need to be tightened up.
We're not advocating censorship.
No, not at all.
It's not censorship, even though
accountability is what we're advocating. Accountability.
We have been held accountable for
absolutely
our own opinion, and we accepted it because it was for a higher purpose.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
we understand why, even though I had no jam in my donut for a week. But we understand why.
We understand why,
and we accept it.
That's right.
And we're not about to go out on the street and burn flags of YouTube or something.
Exactly. There's rules for a reason, and it applies to everybody. It's not as if some people manage to slip through, they're okay. And, I think those rules, that particular situation is a good example of where there are some things that there's rules made and there's a reason for them and you respect them. Right?
You may not agree with them.
You may not agree with them.
You need to respect them.
But you need to respect them because everyone's been asked to play by the same rules, and that's it. All right? And I think at the moment, things like mandates and things like rules and things like trying to pass legislation, for the purpose of it is for the betterment of society. Every democratic government, well, I can't say every, but the Australian democratic government is all about doing the best it can for its people.
Under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances. So right now, that legislation is going to go through state parliament. And the reason why I'm not protesting it, as much as some information I've read is like, oh, that looks a bit sketchy, as in, surely they're going to debate that. But that's the point.
But that's right, because debated. There exists the checks and the balances, and the processes in place.
not someone just
It's not
typing
all
it
of a
up
sudden
and
overnight.
slapping it in a book and there you
Yeah.
go. It's done. It's got to go through a process and it will get put through the ringer as it should. It shouldn't just walk through, right? It should get put through the absolute ringer by all members of Legislative Council. And that way, what we end up with is sensible and appropriate and legislation which is going to be better for society.
And
in
there's
the
still
long
the
term.
avenues for public appeal. So
Yeah.
just by actual legally trained
I know.
for barristers
Exactly.
and experts in the law of the Commonwealth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not by Simon, who has a Facebook page.
Yeah, and that's what the
Simon,
problem is. A lot of those.
just
yeah.
a
Fake
random name.
Fake
Simon.
name. Yeah, we just made up a name.
Yeah, it's just a random name.
Yeah.
And this, unfortunately, is what's been fiction masqueraded as fact.
Yeah. Well, lies spread quicker than the truth.
Yeah, because really, no one wants to hear a nice, clean story.
Yeah.
Like, now all of a sudden the news in probably Melbourne and Australia is that one of the captains for cricket.
Yep.
Which is like all of a sudden the whole country's in mourning because he has to resign because he did something that he didn't think that was going to have any of the consequences.
Yeah.
Again,
yeah.
This is a topic for another day, how we put sports people on a pedestal.
Yeah, and the people really running the country. Or doing the hard yards, or doing the real work.
Yeah, and actual people that have saved lives and done something extraordinary.
Working 16-hour shifts or something ridiculous.
I'm not saying that if you're good at sports, all of a sudden you have no value. No, you have you have value, but just in the sport.
Yeah.
If you're some sort of humanitarian and you're doing other things, then that's fantastic because you're using your
you're using that profile in order to sort of do something other than sport, like you said.
But if you're just very good at the sport that you do and have made an obscene amount of money doing something that you love, all of a sudden you're not some kind of authority to be held up as an idol or as an example when you only play sport. Now, not being insulting to anyone, but if you believe that these people are role models for any more than just that they're really good at their sport, then you need to evaluate because they're just human beings. They're not.
Well, we all are, and that's the other problem. That's the other point.
If only we held our leaders, that's what they're there for.
Who are human beings.
If we only held our leaders to that sort of accountability.
Yeah.
But if a sports person has done something wrong, it's like the whole country just goes into, oh my God, what's happened? This can't be true. He did what on the ball? The sandpaper and the sticky tape? I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, I know you don't.
This is what
you're the biggest sports fan at all. Well, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
If there's no engine involved,
you don't.
Doesn't have
motorsport,
4 wheels,
motorsport,
and it's anything that isn't a Camry.
Of course, most importantly.
There will never be any sports talk on this podcast.
It's true.
Other than for ridicule.
That's right. And and I have to play along with it. But getting back to the topic, because we're going to wrap up, because getting to that time, almost top of the hour. I guess for me, my love letter of common sense is have a voice, and yes, you have opinion and free speech, but you need to show accountability for what you say.
Yeah.
You need to be responsible for the words that you use and the message that you send and how you send it, because there's a way that you can send it which is impactful, and there's a way that you can send it which makes you an extremist. Simple as that is my common sense approach.
Yeah, because having an opinion that's unqualified, and I don't mean that in the sense of you haven't got the experience to have the opinion, or I mean unqualified as if it's
lie. That's a lie.
Yeah, you need to fact check yourself,
Before
and you need to
wreck
realize
yourself.
that if you're going to say something, you have to be able to say it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say it to whoever is of the opposite opinion in front of them. Like you.
Yeah. Mate, it's
So
fact check yourself before you wreck yourself. It
wreck
really
yourself.
is. It really is.
Wiggity, wiggity, wiggity.
It really is. Because how many things that I've seen in articles about, fact check and posted on, media outlets. We fact check this and it's wrong, and this is a lie, and this is untrue, and it's just like.
And because of the algorithms, these algorithms unfortunately are steering our lives.
If you let them.
Because in the public court of opinion, this is what makes a difference. People stopped actually adhering to the truth a long time ago.
Yeah.
The modern world is run purely on the opinion of the public. Hence why we have people on Instagram or YouTubers with all the subscribers. All of a sudden, they are for multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
Like Supercar Blondie is an example.
Oh.
I don't know if you've ever seen her, but she's an Australian. Her and her husband, he does all the filming.
Mm-hmm.
He just gets flown all over the world to have a look at these exotic, very rare sort of cars.
It's been quite a couple of years for her.
And she's
Hey, The Rock gets
my problem with Supercar Blondie is that Supercar Blondie doesn't know anything about cars. Has no.
I don't know. I reckon if you had a blonde tinge, you could get away with it.
But again, a millionaire, multi-millionaire.
Hey,
simply because
don't hate the player. Don't hate the player.
The game.
Bro. Don't hate the player.
Hate the game.
He's using a platform to her benefit.
It's just an example.
It's fine.
It's just an example.
Look,
this is what's wrong with society.
Well, and getting onto society, people of Melbourne and Australia, please, if you do want to protest, please do so. Do so peacefully. Do so respectfully. Get your message across over megaphones, but just none of this defamatory messaging, none of this extremist messaging,
hangman's nooses.
None of this. It's not democracy. All right. If you're protesting for democracy, well, then you need to do it within the boundaries of democratic.
You try to go to North Korea, or Afghanistan, and you protest there about the rights of freedom of speech. See how well you go.
Yeah. So please
see if you make it back.
That's our message. All right. And for those who, freedom of speech, you've said it. I'll say it again. Be responsible for what you say. You need to take responsibility. That is your one. I can't even find the words. That's the one thing that you need to have at least some respect for yourself. To have
free speech is me too.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
it involves us all.
It's not. It's not, right? Free speech.
No, but it is because it's me too, as in it involves us all.
Yeah, it does.
Your rights to free speech is affecting everyone else.
That's right.
If you're that's what we're saying. You need to be responsible.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's true. Good topic.
Good topic.
Good topic.
I'd like to while I remember, I'd like to take us to have a shout out. Shout out for Justin.
Justin,
who is one of our fans and who also is a dad. and he became a new dad this week.
Oh, yep. Congratulations, Justin.
Him and his wife had a baby boy.
Ah, fantastic news.
As well as we are for two dads, we have a pair. We each have a boy and a girl.
Yes, we do. Yep.
He also now has a boy and a girl.
Ah, so his eldest is a girl.
His eldest is a girl.
Ah, wow.
Same as you.
Yeah. And they talk a lot, man. They don't stop. Doesn't stop talking. It's great.
It never stops. It never stops, Philip. It never stops.
Well, congratulations, Justin, on becoming a father for the second time.
Hopefully the guy on the jet bike is not going to...
No, he's not going to keep the kid away.
He's not going to make sure that your son never sleeps either.
Let's hope.
Still going every night.
He's still going?
Every night.
Every night. Is it at a particular time?
No, he just ran. As long as it's in the dark, it's fine.
So clearly unregistered vehicle. Let's be clear on that. Wow.
Oh, he's most likely got fake plates on it. He has I have seen him. He has been right next to me at the lights.
Yeah.
Wheelies on, smoking up the street, and then just.
You do live in the western suburbs, in the northern suburbs, whatever it is, northwest.
West. Anything over the West Gate.
It's all right. Well, just so you know.
That's why the phone signal dies when you go.
Well, just so you know, out here in the southeast, there were celebratory burnouts at midnight last night at the stroke of when all the restrictions are lifted. New freshly laid rubber on the roads at 12:01. God bless.
It is the Australian way.
It is.
Hey, something that's completely irrelevant to what's actually going on.
That's right. What do you have for us in the odd spot? Anything odd happen before we wrap up today's podcast episode?
I don't think I have anything odd.
No? Nothing of interest?
That sounds very
Carrot Man have to retreat now. I wonder if he's still going to go around Carrot Man. People.
No, well, look. Yeah. Still no sight in the blind lion. I'd just like to reiterate: if you have a Camry, please unsubscribe now, because you probably won't like a lot of the talk. So
now, I know you give it a lot to Camrys, but let me just come to Sadiq's defense a little bit. And we have had some feedback that he and I agree on everything, and we do. And in this instance, it has come to my attention that a lot of the times that I'm stuck in traffic or behind a car, it has been a Camry. And I don't know whether it's just coincidence, if that's life's algorithm working, I'm not quite sure, but it has always been a Camry. And
if someone's only going an eighth of the actual speed limit, it's usually a Camry.
And I've actually gone past, I've actually changed lanes to go the speed limit, only to have passed the person in front of me who is stuck behind a Camry. So we've both been stuck behind a Camry. So unfortunately, Camry drivers, you have some weight to pull.
Please feel free to prove us wrong. I'm more than happy to be proven wrong.
Check your speedo and make sure the number on the speedo is the same as the little number in the red circle up on the sign.
The speed limit is not a suggestion.
Under is fine.
It's not a suggestion.
It's not an opt-in. It's almost, it's an ask.
You did mention odd spot, so
yeah.
I'd just like to.
For the listeners on Anchor and Spotify, it looks like he's lining up something.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now this is from the person who I gave the shout out to.
Okay.
I will draw your attention to the exhaust pipes that contains said.
What is that?
Turbo.
That's. How are those things? They frame.
That's the whistle. Do you remember?
Is that the whistle for the turbo?
Yeah.
You clip it on.
Now this is a new car that is actually the turbocharged car.
I was going to say, isn't that turbo already?
And you gerbil.
So for the listeners,
2 whistles.
So the listeners, if you're listening,
whistles.
Head over to the YouTube and give us a like and a subscribe and help us move the channel along. But just to describe to you, there's a picture
of move out the way so
what's that? A 220 220i. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
220i BMW. It's a
late model. It's like
late model. But now okay. What it is in the exhaust, it's got a twin exhaust at the back, and it has some sort of mechanism
which is a whistle.
It's a whistle that mimics, or is it enhanced? It's just
supposed to sound like a turbo.
Sound like a turbo. So it's put a turbo whistle
on a turbocharged
turbocharged car.
So clearly this was done.
Why?
So for any of the listeners and the watchers who for our last episode on what for women don't understand about men,
yes,
there's no way a woman actually did this.
No, and this is a situation where men don't understand stuff about men.
No, this is it. This is something that whoever's the partner of this guy she has no idea. She's like, why would you do that?
Man, I'm asking why you would do it. But anyway,
so
I mean, it would be better if flames.
Testosterone makes men do some really silly and incomprehensible things.
Hey, look, if he's
That's
happy,
the odd spot.
If he's happy,
no.
Leave him be.
Don't make him right. Don't make him right.
Sadiq's denouncing
Please
him.
don't make him right. Don't make him right.
Well, on that
if this is if this is you, stop it now. I know
Please.
It's late at night, but go out to your garage now and remove it now.
All right. On that whistle note, I think we can wrap up today's episode.
Now, that should be illegal. I'm more than happy to go to Parliament House now
and start protesting
and stand there with the poster.
Off you go.
Remove all tailpipe whistles. They are unlawful.
They're unlawful.
If you're worried about
goodness me,
the fact of being really offensive, that's about as that's
in the book of Sadiq.
Offensive.
That's offensive.
That's
on a
offensive.
BMW as well. It doesn't make no sense. Anyhow,
let's
make it start.
Jeez,
I'm winding him up now. I'm winding him up.
It is turbocharged.
What's
wrong with you?
Thanks. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening in to episode 7 of the Two Dads podcast. We really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, please hit a like, hit a subscribe. It really does help our algorithm to get our podcast out there. We really appreciate it. Head on over to Anchor and Spotify. Sid, as always on a Friday evening, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's always a good time.
It is.
And always seems to be a long time.
I know, but I think we might be hitting that hour mark.
We do apologise. Yeah.
We're trying.
We do apologise.
We're really trying. You'd think 7 episodes
really
in,
trying.
We'd be able to hit this on the. Anyway, we'll try again next week.
Maybe by season 3, I don't know.
Well, you have yourself a good night, everyone. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Have a good night. Bye.